So we're back. We might as well start with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, who fell short against the Baltimore Ravens 28-25 in Jerry World. Dallas falls to 1-2. Dak Prescott, who had an uneven first three quarters, didn't really do much, played a great fourth quarter, 179 yards, 3 total touchdowns, and a pass rating over 100. Alas, it was not enough to beat the Baltimore Ravens, who rushed for over 250 yards behind Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Let's start with our resident Cowboys fan in here. Mike, is it panic time in Dallas after this 1-2 start?
Yeah, it is. I think it is. And honestly, I don't know that panic is the right word. I think it might just be acceptance that the Cowboys just aren't that good. Like that's kind of the sense that I'm getting right now. I had predicted before the season that the Cowboys were going to be the third place team in the NFC East. I did think Philadelphia and I did think Washington were better football teams. And it looks like in the early going that I'm right. They simply cannot stop the run. They're dead last in run defense. They've given up over 550 rushing yards since the beginning of the season. They are just getting run over on the field. And not only that, but offensively, they are completely one-dimensional. They can't run the football. They don't have a premier back. They don't even have a premier. They don't have an average back. Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott, Deuce Vaughn, like they are just not doing the job there. Obviously, they have Dalvin Cook waiting in the wings, but who knows what you're going to get out of him at this point in his career. Dak is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting, and over the course of his career, when things haven't been perfect around Dak, he kind of tends to struggle. So I'm skeptical on the Cowboys. I don't see them as a playoff team right now. So, yeah, to answer your question, I would say yes, right now it's panic mode.
It's funny you said earlier in that little take you gave about how you picked Dallas to be third in the division. Yeah, we're 3 weeks in, but here we sit. They're tied for third place in the division with the Giants, who they're going to play obviously on Thursday Night Football behind Washington, with what a performance, by the way, by Jayden Daniels and the Philadelphia Eagles, both of which we will get to later in today's episode of the 8 o'clock spot. Tim Barnard, what do you think about the Dallas Cowboys? Is it panic mode after this 1-2 start? Your mic is still muted, Tim.
There we go. All right. Sorry. Yeah, listen, I do think that it is time for panic mode. I mean, I've been saying this since last year that they need to fire Mike McCarthy. He is a absolute bum. I think he was lucky to win that Super Bowl in Green Bay, because when you look at his offense, it's so bland. Like, you have McVay, Shanahan, McDaniel. They're making guys go in motion. They're able to get Tyreek Hill open, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, just for the Niners recently, wide open. And yet you have CeeDee Lamb on the outside, just chilling, getting double covered. He has to get open himself. It is one of the most bland offenses. So, listen, I like Dak Prescott. I like the Cowboys offense. And you want to say that they had a back last year, Mike? I know you said that this year they don't. They didn't have one last year. Tony Pollard was a bum last year. Listen, I know he's good for Tennessee right now, but last year he sucked. So and then too, to top it off, Mike, you brought up the defensive stats. Mike Zimmer is their DC. The dude hasn't been in the NFL since 21. He's been at Jackson State and Colorado with Deion Sanders. Then you throw him 3 games, just 3 games, and look at what's going on. It's like, I don't want to say that this team can't make the playoffs, because I think the NFL right now as a whole is not that good. So I believe that Dallas can still make the playoffs. But when looking at it, yeah, it is time for panic mode, because Jerry Jones set this team up with an awful coaching staff. You know how we make fun of, or not fun of, but we rat on all the rookie quarterbacks who are saddled up in bad places. Bryce Young, for instance.
10 seconds, Tim.
Sam Darnold with the Jets. Look at how Sam Darnold's doing now. I mean, this is the problem. When you have bad coaching, that can lead to a disaster like we see in Dallas.
No question. And that, to me, was the kind of the theme of week 3 in the NFL. Is like, I just couldn't help but thinking, watching these games, like, where you land matters. To give you an example, like, I was actually at the Tennessee Titans-Packers game over the weekend on Sunday. A year ago, I didn't think Malik Willis belonged on an NFL field against his old team, the Titans. He was excellent. I mean, he moved well. He was throwing deep balls. He was accurate on third down. So, yeah, where you go does matter. And that's, I think, coaching. We talk about all the problems with the Cowboys. Coaching has seemed to come into the focus for them, really, I mean, in the entire McCarthy era. By the way, we talk about Aaron Rodgers, a lot, and maybe some of the issues he has with coaches. I mean, some of his gripes with McCarthy are justified just in terms of, like you said, the blandness of the offense. So good points across the board. Tim, Arthur, your first ever take on this show, the 8 o'clock spot. Your thoughts on the Cowboys losing to your Ravens, by the way. Is it panic mode? Is it panic time in Dallas, Texas?
Not at all, BC. I think that, you know, when you're America's team, everybody expects you to be America's team. You expect perfection. You expect greatness. And I mean, ever since I've been alive, you know what I'm saying? The Cowboys haven't really produced that. And so Mike touched on it, right? They've been giving up 557 yards. That's the most in the NFL, 5 yards per carry. And they've given up 8 touchdowns, right? Adding the fact that, you know, they're 30th in rushing, 3.6 yards per carry. And so, you know, we learned in math that, you know, 2 negatives make a positive. But I learned in life, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And if we're daggone sure, don't make a right on the football field. And so when you think about the fact that Alvin Kamara went crazy against them week 2, Derrick Henry went crazy against them on Sunday. They're 1-2. That first game against the Cleveland Browns didn't have Nick Chubb. So could they possibly be sitting here at 0-3? But anyways, the reality is that right now they're 1-2. They can't stop the run. They can't run the ball. And when you add that in the fact that they just look defeated. Like, I understand it's 28-6, but you still had a lot of game time to play. You can't just, CeeDee Lamb, look, man, throw me the ball. I get it. But Marlon Humphrey isn't letting you get open. He's pushing you and putting hands on you again physical the minute you come off the line. And then adding the fact that you can't get by him. And if you do, you have another guy that's waiting on you right there in the backfield. And the one time that he was able to get something thrown to him, he was able to draw defensive pass interference and get the Cowboys closer to the end zone. But you can't have this mentality of, oh, it's over. And Micah Parsons, you're the leader of that defense. You know that they're not going to be coming at you. So you need to do everything that you can to communicate to your defense, say, hey, I need you guys to have my back. I need some help out here. The defense is clearly a defense that is prone and coming together to get at the quarterback. Right, that's what they love to do. But it's built to stop the run. And so when you have that, you can't have a front running attitude as well. And that's why the Cowboys are right now sitting at 1-2.
To go to your point about Micah Parsons, Arthur, it's that first drive. I don't know if I've ever seen a superstar defensive player, which Micah Parsons obviously is, just look lost. Like the touchdown that your guy Lamar Jackson ran at, Micah Parsons is trying to figure out where he's lining up, where Dallas doesn't look to be filling the gaps in that play. Like it was a rough defensive performance. I mean, Micah Parsons, by the way, this year through 3 games has 1 single sack. So it's a collective sort of lack of effort. I think it's fair to say by the Dallas Cowboys thus far. Arthur, I have to admit, 5 points, my man. I thought you had the best take this segment. I did like your sort of tie-in with the two wrongs don't make a right in the NFL. That doesn't necessarily apply to math. I liked that point. Tim, I'm going to give you 3 points. You come in second place, my man. I did enjoy your points about the lack of depth on the Cowboys coaching staff. And Mike Guido, not that it was bad. It was actually pretty good points across the board to start the season too. That's what we want to see here. But Mike, you started with 1 point here. So I'm going to have to keep the number 2 pencil to the side for a moment, at least maybe up until the second round.